Hey everyone, it's Victor here, and welcome to scotTRANS. Now, this week we are talking about stealth versus visible. This isn't some kind of weird battle, although it does sound like one, and it feels like one sometimes. Being stealth basically means that you live your life, people thinking you're cis, you kind of hide your trans identity. You hide that part of your life. And obviously being visible is the opposite of that, so that's being visible, being out as trans to people and talking about your transition. There are positives and negatives to each side. Obviously, being stealth is very, very tempting for a lot of trans people. And a lot of people are stealth. I've even considered going stealth, and actually recently I've discovered what it's like to pass, and I've realised why people choose to go stealth, because it is such a wonderful experience to be treated like yourself with no questions asked. If someone just sees you as male and doesn't think about you being trans at all, doesn't think about that kind of transgender history, it's such a wonderful feeling, because there's so much transphobia still in this world, and you know, it's just lovely to be respected as yourself completely. But I suppose being stealth and being respected as a cis person, so someone thinking you're cis, is actually not being respected. That's not being respected at all. That's just someone thinking you're cis, and maybe if they knew you were trans, they wouldn't be friends with you, or they wouldn't hang out with you. So yeah, it's very complicated. So on the other side of things, being visible, the benefit to being visible is you know if people are good people or not. People that you meet. If someone knows you're trans and they treat you just the same as they treat a cis person, then you know that person's worth hanging around with. You know that person's understanding. Whereas when you're stealth, and nobody knows if you're trans, then you kind of worry that maybe they're transphobic. Being visible is very stressful though, because obviously you come across transphobic people. But at the end of the day, if you're stealth, then you're not inspiring other trans people, especially pre-transition, to feel proud of being trans. I know that sounds like quite a controversial thing to say, but I think that's quite true. I think especially if you're stealth and you basically pretend you're not trans at all, so you completely erase that part out of your life, I think that can be very, very troubling for a lot of young trans people or people that are pre-transition, because it makes them feel like their current existence is shameful or worth erasing. So that's the big issue, is yeah, if you have the privilege to pass as cis and be stealth, that is a privilege, because some trans people don't have that privilege. I think it's perfectly fine to be stealth day to day, strangers, whatever, you know. I think it's perfectly fine to be stealth. I'm not saying don't be stealth. I'm just saying that people who are visible do inspire other trans people to be themselves, to transition, to actually admit to themselves they're trans, to take steps towards that. And it makes them proud to be trans. You know, that's kind of what I wish for everyone, is that we'd all be proud, you know, to be trans. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people who are stealth are ashamed, truly ashamed of it. And they want to blot out that entire part of their lives. But I think that is quite tragic in a way, because that's their own transphobia coming out. And we shouldn't be ashamed of where we came from, what bodies we've been born in. That's not who we are. We all know that. Just because we've been born with different body parts doesn't take anything away from our identity as people. If every cis person respected every trans person just as much as they respect other cis people, people wouldn't be stealth, because there wouldn't be a reason to be stealth. We'd still be respected exactly the same way. But anyway, I know that was more sort of contemplative and more of a musing on the subject, but I hope that helped in some way. I think for me, it's a hard one, but I will always be visible even when it's hard. And yeah, I'm stealth in a way that if someone just sees me on the street, or if someone sees me that I'm never going to see again, like if they think I'm cis, I'm not really going to go up to them and go, by the way, I'm trans, just so you know. I'm going to let that slide. But I'm proud of where I've come from, and I'm proud of who I am, and I'm just as valid as any cis person. So I have nothing to be ashamed of. So just think about that for a bit. Think about what you want to be projecting out to the world, what you want to be projecting to other trans people, and to yourself. Remember to love yourself for who you are. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next Sunday.